Today, nearly 60 white South Africans were admitted into the United States. It's part of President Donald Trump's resettlement program for white Afrikaners, largely descendants of Dutch and French colonial settlers in South Africa. Afrikaners also led the racist apartheid government there until it ended in 1994. Today, the White House alleges that a new South African law, which redistributes unused land to the state, is racist, and that the white minority is being persecuted by the black-led government. President Trump even halted all aid to South Africa back in February. Applications from these white families were fast-tracked by the administration, even as it suspended the U.S. refugee resettlement program, leaving thousands of approved refugees worldwide stranded.
I would like for MAGA to explain to me how a president can say we need to get immigrants out of this country. We need to get our immigration system under control. We need to get rid of the criminals and the drug dealers and the fentanyl out of this country. And we need to do so by getting rid of the immigrants. Then he not only tries to go into communities, but he goes into the prisons and get all those black and brown immigrants out of the country. Then tries to. Then he goes a little bit further and gets rid of immigrants who are here on visas and on refugee status. Then he goes further and tries to send those people to Guantanamo Bay. He tries to open up Alcatraz. He's doing all these things to try to get immigrants out of this country, to get black and brown immigrants out of this country. Then he goes to South Africa to pull 60 people that are very lacking in melanin and brings them to this country. And he flies them on a State Department plane, not even a refugee plane. He fast-tracked their status, their refugee status. He fast-tracks that to get them here, and they're all white. He's getting rid of black and brown immigrants, those who are here legally and those who are here illegally. Now, let me talk to you about immigration. I understand and I agree that you should not come here illegally. Flip side, I also understand how this being the melting pot of the world and how America is supposed to have streets paved with gold and how this is the greatest opportunity in all the world where people can come and be nothing and make themselves into something. And I can understand how people want to get here. And there are some people that want to jump the line. I don't agree with jumping the line. But I do agree that you should come here if we have due process. Due process, and go through the steps. And if you don't, if you are deemed unworthy to be here, whether you have a criminal record, a drug record, or a DV record, whatever, you should be sent back home. I agree with that. But you go and get rid of all black and brown people, to include those people who are professors, who are adjunct researchers, who are at colleges. You strip them of their visas. You strip them of their green cards. You strip them of any kind of legal recourse they have. You get rid of their due process. You're now trying to get rid of habeas corpus so that you can arrest and detain anybody just to get them black and brown people out of here. Then you go and get white refugees from South Africa, the same group of people that was a part of apartheid in South Africa. Now, I don't know the whole history of apartheid in South Africa, but I do know one thing. I do know about the birth dearth. Go back and read it. I can't remember the guy's name. I think his name was Ben Wattenberg or something like that. Go back and read his book from 1987. He's talking about the birth dearth and how in the 1940s, from 1945, the baby boom generation, I think it was 1945 to 1960 something. That's the baby boom generation. Why? Because after World War II, a lot of soldiers came home. Women who during World War II, women worked in factories. They stepped up while the men went overseas to fight. When the men came back, women went back home, men went back into the factories. They also had a lot of babies. So between 1945 and about 1965, somewhere up in there, a lot of children were born in this country. Those people are now retiring. And there's no, and the one thing out of all of this, white people are not having as many babies as they were back in 1945 and before. White people on average have about 1-2 children per household, maybe 3. Black people have about 2, maybe 3 children on average. Latino, they may have 3 or 4 on average. Asians, maybe 1 or 2 on average. White people are the minority the world over. We understand that. But in America, they are the minority, but they had the majority as far as power. Now they are further into the minority, and they see themselves losing it. That's why in 2008, when President Barack Hussein Obama II was elected to the White House, they said, "Let's take our country back." Go watch the news. Go to YouTube. Look it up. The Tea Party, taxed enough already. The Tea Party, they came out, and you had everybody out there saying we need to take our country back. Take it back from who? You had comedians saying the same shit. Like, take it back from who? Dave Chappelle did it. Who else owned this country but you? Before Obama, it was nothing but white people in that White House. Obama gets in, they say, take our country back. Obama do a second term, they're really pissed off. Now they got a pendulum swing. And who did they get? Donald fucking Trump, who says we're going to make America great again, won't tell you when that great again is, and it's synonymous with taking the country back. One way of doing it is taking it back to the 1950s, directly after World War II, when this country was a manufacturing powerhouse and people worked in the plants. You got the big three, Detroit. You got the big three in Detroit, the big three companies. You had Ohio in the steel industry. You had Birmingham, Alabama in their steel industry. Well, the rich people in the 80s, the billionaires, the millionaires, they took those steel companies, manufacturing companies, they took them overseas and said, you know what? We will let China produce our products for cheaper and sell them back to you. That's who took your job. Then, because women were working now, because women wanted their equal rights, and I get it, they went to work in the 80s. And because they were working, less babies were being made. So now white people are feeling some type of way that they, not only are they the minority, but they know they are the minority now. And the vote for President Obama proved it. So what do they got to do? They got to go back and get this country white. They got to make this country white again. How do they do that? If you're not going to make babies, we going to import them. And we're not going to go to England or Britain or Spain or France or Italy. We're not going to go to Russia or Germany. We're going to go to Apartheid, South Africa, and get the same racist assholes to come to this country. We're going to fly them on a Department of Defense state-of-the-art aircraft. We're going to throw American flags in their fucking hands, and we're going to make them American citizens. We're going to fast-track their fucking refugee status and make them in this country. Then, the same people that you say are on welfare, food stamps, and SNAP, and all those other benefits, you're going to give them to them. When we know illegal immigrants pay more in taxes, and they did not have the benefits because they did not have Social Security cards. At a minimum, an illegal immigrant can go to the emergency room because the Hippocratic Oath says that doctors say they cannot turn away somebody who's sick. MAGA, explain this to me. Explain how you can go and say we're going to get rid of all immigrants because Americans, legal, red-blooded Americans, can do those jobs. And you go and get white people from formerly apartheid South Africa, fast track them into this country. I'm waiting. I want to know what the fuck you think.